It is finals day for the Under-23 Women's National Championships, the major semi-final, South Australia versus Queensland. We started the week with 7. We're down to 4. We're coming to you from magnificent Ghana land, West Beach in South Australia, and it's James Harris here, and alongside me is Anthony Weatherstone and South Australian softball royalty life member Lee Hull. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you very much, James, and we'll say welcome to Anthony when he loves. He's just very busy at the moment in the cafe, I believe.
Hayley Bonathan to lead things off for the South Australians, and she's hit by a pitch. The very first pitch of the game, it came through the right-handed batter's box. Just a flinch to perhaps move out of the way, but it collects her, skims past, and she's happy. A big clap to the SA dugout on the way through.
What a one pitch, and I'm on base. You'd take that any day of the week.
That's why she's there, to get on base, and that's why this young lady is in the left-handed batter's box batting 2. She's swung a hot stick all week. She can play the short game. She can rope the ball to the fence. It's Maddie Scott.
Outstanding she's been this week. Very difficult batter to get on top of when you're pitching.
That one's in there for a called strike. So Maddie Scott seeing a couple of pitches because Hayley Bonathan struck on the back leg with the very first pitch of the ball game to give South Australia the base runner. Winner of this game straight through to the grand final about 3:30 p.m. The loser of this game has a second chance. We'll play the winner of the minor semi-final. That game just getting underway on Diamond 2 between New South Wales and Victoria. Scott slaps it down the third base line. It just goes foul.
Umpires for this game on plate, it's James English. First base, Deb Keogh. At third base, it's Chrissy Travers. And at second base, Brett Tyler. We have 4 umpires.
We don't often speak of the third team on the diamond because when you don't notice them, it means they're doing a fantastic job. And all week, the boys and women in blue have been fantastic and rewarded for their efforts during the week with a major semi-final.
Well, without them, we have no game. Simple as that, isn't it?
I remember Jackie Crafter once saying, without the umpires, it's just practice.
Well, that's fair comment too. Well done, Jack.
Base on balls to Maddie Scott. Hit by pitch, base on balls. The South Australian team not needing to take the bat off the shoulder just yet, but this lady here to the plate, although, Lee, probably for the last 3 seasons in the SA Premier League, prior to leaving for Pensacola, led the league in walks and hits.
Yeah, well, it's because the pitchers pitch it very carefully.
High for ball 1. Georgia Hood is the batter in the box for South Australia, wearing the number 8. We'll see her in a couple of weeks at the Gillies Shield, along with teammates Hayley Bonathan, Taylor Chillingworth, Abby Jorgensen, Neve Adams.
That's terrific, isn't it?
Sophie Roberts.
That's 5 or 6?
5 talented young women, and there's probably another 3 in this team that could put their hand up for selection for that team as well. Summers pitching for Queensland. We'll go around their diamond in a moment as Hood takes a pitch. 1-1 count. It's a sunny day. There's a little bit of cloud cover, a little bit of breeze. It's going to be about 30 today, Lee.
Yeah, 31, I think, James. The
inside for a ball.
You mentioned now how many times she gets a base on balls, Georgia, but she's got a terrific eye for seeing it, doesn't she? She knows what's a strike and what's not.
3-1 count.
Yeah, very rarely does she get it wrong.
Well, the South Australian top 3 have learned from just yesterday when they faced Summers. She likes to go up, and that is a go-to pitch. Lee, you gave her a nickname earlier in the week, and the Queensland defence take an opportunity to take time. They look to the dugout for some thoughts and maybe some advice. As Taylor Chillingworth, who hits 4 for South Australia. Lee, can you take us around the diamond?
Yes, I will, as soon as we get through this batter.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll also draw our attention to the 4th team on the diamond, and well, someone's got to be there to colour in the circles. The statisticians for today's game, Marcy Trzynski from South Australia and Leanne Harvey from Queensland. with the coloured pens and also on electronic as well. So we'll look to them for a close play, maybe a official on a hit or an error. 66 Taylor Chillingworth hitting 4 high for a ball, and I mentioned yesterday, Lee, the go-to pitch for Summers was the rise ball.
Yeah, but I think SA obviously have learnt from that so far.
And an unbelievable score card at the moment. Hit by pitch, base on balls, 3-0 count on the 4-hitter.
And when you come in like Taylor, you just take pitch after pitch, don't you? Force her to throw some strikes like that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that pitch from Summers. It came in hard. It was on the outside edge. It was low enough to get a ground ball if Chillingworth was swinging, but we'll see if she comes up again. Called strike right at the top of the zone. Chillingworth was on her way, a couple of steps out the box. Well, we might see something here, Lee. A payoff pitch, full count, loaded bases, low. And Taylor Chillingworth, the 3rd consecutive walk. Hayley Benithan scores after being struck, hit by pitch. RBI. I'm gonna go to our esteemed statisticians to our left. Is that an earned run? It is an earned run. There you go. So Taylor Chillingworth, not having to swing the bat, gets an earned run for South Australia in the top of the 1st of the major semi-final.
I'll go round the field. It's Zali Summers pitching to Matisse Sorbello. First, it's Jessica Rhodey. Second, it's Harari Furakara. Third, it's Brooke Stewart. Shortstop is Soraya Hampson. And at left field, Kiana Henare. Hannah Leggett's at centre. And Nicole Conica is at right. And their DP is Mackenzie Peebles.
Your dyslexia got the better of you. It's Harari Kurihara.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Base.
Yeah, well, thanks. That's. I'll put that down as a cross against my name. That makes 2.5 compared with 137 ticks. But thanks for bringing it to my attention,
No
Chief.
worries, mate.
Anytime.
Becky Havas bats 5 and is playing first base today for the red team. She swings and swings hard for a foul. Now, the coach for Queensland came out and isolated Summers, just had a chat to her on the side and just clearing her head. She is a brilliant young pitcher, Zali Summers, so I'm sure it's just, no worries, let's reset. Infield fly affairs, the call from plate umpire English, and Rhodey gets under it to take a good catch for the first out. So South Australia with loaded bases from a hit by pitch, 3 base on balls, a run scored, and the first batter to swing the bat pops up into foul territory. Charlize Callahan for South Australia. Great block from Sorbello. She's been a feature of this Queensland offense and defense all week. Fantastic.
Well, not only was it a good call for the infield fly, it was loud and clear. Everybody could hear it.
Smashes it up the middle.
Look at that.
It's in the centre right alley. It's going to score 2. It could score more as it rolls to the fence. Chillingworth turns 3. Callahan stops, changes her mind. A 3-run double to Charlize Callahan. She scores Scott from 3rd, Hood from 2nd, Chillingworth from 3rd. 4 earned runs for South Australia in the top of the 1st. Eastern replay. It was an absolute bullet, and it's got to be good to beat Kurihara at 2. Slams into the fence. The throw just a short hopper to the cutoff. There's a reverse angle, and Charlize Callahan absolutely nailed that.
This is the right fielder for SA. It's Georgia Ballard.
Chops it to 3. Stewart checks the runner at 2. Fires it across to Rhodey. She's fumbled. Safe called on Ballard. She's quick, so she's applied some offensive pressure. Callahan got off far enough for Stewart to just second guess it and put her in 2 minds whether or not to go back to that runner. Look at her hold, and then the throw just made Rhodey stretch, and Just a slight hiccup, you'd say, for Queensland. They're a good enough team to come back from here. 4-0, though, a dream start for the home team. Here's Abby Jorgensen. Lays down a running bunt, catches the infield on their heels. Sorbello has to field it a third of the way down the line. Just rein it in a little bit here, James. A third of the way down the line, and it's a infield single for Jorgensen, advancing both runners, and it's loaded again for the 9-hitter, Neve Adams. I've got to catch up on my scorecard.
Well, we're down to batter number 9. Can you believe this, the start? I can't. Well, I can because I'm seeing it with my own eyes. But what a surprise.
Neve Adams plays a very similar role to what Sorbello does for the Queensland team. Batting 9, a power hitter at 9 for both teams.
Certainly is.
High for a ball, and our man Anthony Weatherstone is joining us. Look, for the home team's sake, if things don't start going right for South Australia, we're going to kick you out here. A dream start.
Okay, so do you want me to go back inside, or?
Not at the moment.
Morning, everybody.
Welcome, Anthony, to the call. It's been a fascinating start, a dream start for South Australia, but you know what? The Queensland team just look professional out there. They don't look flustered. Not panic stations just yet. But it's 1 out, and another base on ball scores a run for the South Australian team, and we go back to the top of the order, and Hayley Benithan with just 1 out.
4 base on balls with 9 hitters. That's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is unbelievable, yeah.
We'll recap the inning in a moment. 5 earned runs for South Australia here in the top of the first.
Benithan last night went deep over left field fence for a 235-foot bomb.
So she's seen it all right.
She's seen it all right.
Hayley Benithan was hit by pitch with the very first pitch of the game. Maddie Scott, Georgia Hood, Taylor Chillingworth all walked. An RBI for Chillingworth. Becky Havas popped up in foul territory. That's the top 5. Swing and a miss from Benithan. Foul tip even. Then Charlize Callahan roped one to the centre right alley for a 3-run double. Georgia Ballard reached on an error. High for a ball. Abby Jorgensen laid down a safe bunt, and Neve Adams had an RBI walk. For the first 9 hitters of the game, there's 5 runs, it's loaded bases, and there's 1 out. Benithan continues, and Anthony Lee and I made the observation that South Australia's learnt from yesterday in that Summers' go-to pitch is the rise ball, and so they've stayed off anything that's high in the zone. And I'd have to say she's not getting the inside call either. So Summers goes to her hands on knees, just desperate for a call to go her way. It's a 2-2 count for Hayley Benithan.
Wow. I mean, that's good learning, obviously, internationals, so don't have a lot of time to adjust. Challenges are there, though.
Yeah, Summers come hard, but Benithan swung hard as well. This is a battle that you love to see. Hayley Benithan has been one of South Australia's standouts. Summers has been one of the competition standouts, and they're going toe-to-toe. Just off the end of the handle, a double play opportunity, and that player at shortstop, Hampson for Queensland, gets them out of a jam with a double play.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously Queensland struggling with some of the calling, but they needed some luck. They got it there. Good fielding by the shallow shortstop there in Hampson, and great feat to turn around and make the double play. I'm not entirely sure that Solomon would have been looking to be warming up this early today, knowing that it can be a long day. You've either got to do 3 games to win a national championships or 2, so.
Well, Anthony, we went around the Queensland lineup. It looks very strong in defence, so I'm sure they'll get back in the game. They'll plug away. What's the message? 1 run at a time. Let's just generate a 1 run an inning.
Oh, absolutely. If anything, you've got to try and not look at the scoreboard, especially as a coach trying to make sure that your players just try and execute their game plan. Queensland even haven't had that opportunity yet. I mean, Georgia Hood's been great. Last night she was working real hard on that low inside pitch. So if Summers isn't getting it called, there's a good chance that Hood might not be getting it called either, which means she may have to change her game plan. But yeah, a long way to go just yet, a long way to go. But seeing good pitches, hitting the ball, keep it simple as long as you can. The complicated stuff will come later.
I'll go around the diamond for the red team. It's Georgia Hood pitching to Neve Adams. First base, Becky Havis. Second base, Maddie Scott. Third, Charlize Callahan. Shortstop, Taylor Chillingworth. The outfield from left to right on the green grass that's mown, Hayley Benithan, Abby Jorgensen and Georgia Ballard.
Well, I get a little bit of a shiver down my spine whenever South Australia leads Queensland early in a game. They've got a recent history of running over the top of us. And I can speak from experience as well. So earlier in the tournament, though, South Australia scored the first 6 of the game for Queensland to go on a 13-run unanswered streak on the backfield. Yep. First time they played in this tournament, and they won 13-6 in 6 innings. So they didn't just do it 1 run at a time either. They just put a bunch on.
Yeah.
The important thing is when you're driving to the ballpark today, knowing that if you win the first one, you get that much needed, much advantageous break between the two.
Yeah.
Because more importantly, it also drains the pitching staff of the other team as well, and gives you a genuine, real chance at the end. So this game's just as important as the big final. But Kurihara has been lights out this tournament so far. Expect a positive at-bat from her early.
Yeah, it's been a big tournament so far for all teams. 3 days of the minor rounds were triple headers, with 1 day just 2 games in a day. The loser of this game, should they win the preliminary final, will have to play 3 games again. So winning this game on a hot day is going to give you that advantage of having a rest. You can go sit in the shade, you can rehydrate, whereas you're going to go back to back at least. And if you win that game, you've got to go back to back to back.
And you saw Queensland do that with great success in the 23s earlier this year in May. You know, they got through to the main game, and when they got there, they were ready to go, and they jumped New South Wales real quick and put that game to bed nice and early, which is how you like to win a national championship, not being close.
Kurihara is jammed a little from Georgia Hood, and she
Good pitch.
fires it across to, or loops it across to Havis at first for the first out.
The flip side of that, of course, is that the Stars in the Open Women's played New South first thing in the morning in an epic 1-run deciding game, and after that then had to back up to Victoria.
And come from behind against Victoria.
To then turn around and face New South again.
Ground ball, it just tips the glove of Hood, and that is going to be enough for the speedy Hampson, who cruises over to first.
Yeah, you can see it's just come off of Hood's glove, and that deviation's put it into Chillingworth's path as she's attacked the ball on the run. But yeah, just the speed of Queensland. Hampson,
she's quick, isn't she?
Yeah, they're very quick.
It's Brooke Stewart.
Yeah, Brooke Stewart played for this team just 7 months ago here in Adelaide. So she knows most, if not all, of these players. Now batting 3 for her home state. Low for a ball, and it's just away from Adams. But
interesting, ball in the dirt.
Yeah, but not far enough away, because we've commented a couple of times on Neve Adams' arm this week so far.
Yeah, if she doesn't get a gig in the college system in softball, she could probably go into the majors in the baseball.
I think there's some pending news about that. I'm going to shut my mouth because I'm not sure if I'm meant to know.
And I'm not sure that's going to happen.
What a beautiful setup that was.
Hood to Stewart. Low, and Stewart battles this out for a foul.
You can see straight away Queensland haven't adopted any type of short game policy or creation policy.
No.
So these will be long at bats because it'll be just they're going to have to bat their way out of it. They're 5-0 first innings. It's too much back to create. What a great change up by Georgia Hood. Her and Adams just really clicked last night, and that's a great call, and more importantly, a really well executed pitch on the 5th morning.
Sorry, I was just saying hello to a couple of the, I don't want to say my fans, I'm too humble to say that, but strikeout for Georgia Hood.
Those
For
in
the
favour
second
of that
out.
statement.
Jessica Rhodey now up to bat.
Gee.
Gone is the runner.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good backup from Maddie Scott, but the speed, the pure speed of Hampson
There's a
gets there safely.
bit of expectation in that. 2 out. You got a fast runner at first. You know, Rhodey, quality power hitter at the plate. So you send your runner. If you get lucky, that's great. If not, then she leads off the second.
Ground ball. Rhodey versus Hood, and Havas' height saves the red
Helps,
team there.
Yeah. Big help then, Beck, being told.
Well, Georgia Hood got 2 assists and a strikeout in that inning to retire Queensland's top 3 of their top 4. Hampson's shot back, it clipped Hood's glove and then ricocheted over to shortstop, and that was enough for her to arrive safely to first. So Summers comes back to the plate now. Never write off a champion, and I think this lady's got what it takes to be one. Will be very interesting to see how she comes back in this inning, and then whether or not there's a short leash.
Well, yeah, look, that's a really big question. That's where your coaching staff's going to earn their money right here, because if it's not working and the gap's already 5, even though it's early, you then have to start thinking about, all right, well, we don't want 5 to become 8 or 9. Do we make a change early and go to the speedster and Solomon, saving Summers fresh to at least attack the next game if it gets to that? But don't count out Queensland's hitting lineup. As you said, they can pile it on quickly.
Maddie Scott will lead things off here, low for a ball. In the top of the second inning, the tactics throughout the minor round, South Australia saw both Solomon and Summers. Georgia Hood was heading from the SA team, by the SA team, from the Queenslanders. So their first look at Hood.
Yeah, and you can see after the end of the first innings that so far that move's paid dividends.
I can be corrected if I'm wrong, but is Georgia Hood the only current Aussie Spirit player playing in this tournament?
Good question.
I'm talking senior team,
Yeah,
because
senior
a bunch
team.
of these went over to Canada Cup. Left-handed box, running slap, beats it out. That's a great call up at first base from Deb Keogh. Let's have a look at the Eastern replay. Maddie Scott is on her bike, strikes it right at the top of the batter's box, just getting the grip at shortstop, and Scott beats it out. Rhodey does a good job to stretch for it, but it's an infield single.
That was the difference in my opinion, just getting the grip to throw the ball. Just that much in it. Fine line, isn't it?
SA got 2 hits in the first inning. One was a running bunt, and they scored 5.
She's still not getting that pitch. Looks over towards third base in the bullpen.
Goes to the change-up.
Really well executed too.
Hood gets the hands to the ball, kills it off. She is behind the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. When the pitcher's looking over at the dugout, I've got 2 expert veteran coaches to my left. We might go to that after this pitch. Strikeout. And Georgia Hood didn't want that one. And that is Summers' first strikeout of the game. Now she continues to look over to the dugout. What's that messaging? Is that looking for some support, or is that
there'd be
get me out of here?
There'd be a bit of feedback. I mean, after the first innings, and obviously you've got your plans, and then your plan hasn't executed in the way because you're not getting maybe the calls that you wanted against the hitters that you wanted. Maybe just looking for a bit of feedback in regards to if there's plan B. Just getting a bit of a feel. You can see that she's frustrated and she's quick pitching, which she didn't do yesterday. She's now in a rush. She's lost her rhythm.
It's a very good point, Anthony. She needs to just slow it down.
Takes off on the pitch, Maddie Scott, so just captures the Queensland defence napping just a little bit because she stood still for a majority of Georgia Hood's at-bat and so far up to this point, Taylor Chillingsworth. So Chillingworth, I've fallen into that trap now, adding an S to her name, but she slides in safely high for a ball, and now the runner's in scoring position.
Yeah, well, when you're the pitcher, you know, you're running the show. That's what you should be thinking. Make those batters wait for you until you're ready to pitch.
Yep, absolutely.
Don't get drawn into just trying to blast them, you know, quickly.
New commentator Kylie Weatherstone made the point last night that Neve Adams, when she went to the plate, every time had her hand back, and she was making everybody wait for her as a number 9.
Yeah.
And she had a great night, picking up 2 hits. So
Chillingworth walked for the second time. Havis gets a change-up first pitch. I like and I acknowledge that she's not scratching around in the box there. She's just leveling it out. So thank you for that, Becky.
Yeah. Havis is one of those players that can get under a pitch. So if she gets anything fast on the up, Havis has the capability to go to the fence.
Back-to-back change-ups to go behind 0-2. Summers, a new tactic. High for a ball, so she goes back to that rise ball.
Well, she's had to make a change because their game plan of ahead in the count, going up high, and then changing up, coming through the game.
She gets the pitch up, and it will drop in. Advancing Scott, she's going to take on. No, she gets held back. I thought she was going to take on the throw from the right fielder, Conacher, but a single for Becky Havis. Advancing Chillingworth. She was always going to be safe at 2. There's the Eastern replay because the play was either going to be at the plate or at 1.
Interesting hit, yeah. I mean, well executed relay is what's put the stop on the fast Scott rounding third.
Here's the RBI hitter.
And you can see, as you just pointed out before, James, change-ups are plenty in this innings. She's taking all the pace off the ball, trying to get some miss-hits. 1 out, bases loaded. Great catching by Sorbello with bases loaded, and goes into the dirt.
How quickly does pitch counts come into this? Because obviously, you know, giving up 5 in the first, and now it's loaded bases in the second. 58 pitches into the game, and
well, might have had it.
Well, maybe a little bit of bad luck and good luck all on one play for the Queensland defence. She's okay. She's waving the field away. Let's look at the Eastern replay. She was struck, 1 bouncing off the leg towards Rhodey at first, who plays her base, but the run scores. So 6 now the lead for South Australia with 2 out here in the second.
Yeah, that's going to hurt, and so maybe see what that does to a pitching action. Not a lot of activity over on the Queensland bench at the moment. They seem to letting it sort of roll.
Well, it's early days, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's an argument where you've got to change things up because plan A has not worked because you've loaded up twice in the first 2 innings. So
is this Queensland backing themselves to get back in the game, or their plan B is we'll just go through to the next game? Yeah. No, they're not giving up now. No, I take that comment back. Ballard swings hard at this one.
No,
it is
but as
now 60 pitches into the second inning.
Yeah, as a coach, you are thinking that. Like, I mean, you won't publicly admit it, but you are thinking 6-0, that's a long way back. I've got to make sure that I can guarantee the next one.
Ground ball to third, and Stewart fires it across to first for the third out. South Australia with runners on base, advancing, couple of hits and a walk, only managing to get one. So the threat from South Australia still good defence, even though they've given up another run from the
I'll tell you what,
Queensland defence.
Coach Lucas, I'll tell you the other thing he's thinking. We're talking about pitch counts and all the rest of it. At 6-0 in the second, he's already starting to think about 7 and engineering an extra and trying to put this game in Mercer territory to make it as quick as possible. But you can't do that when you're playing the defending national champions. And again, they've only had their first 3 batters have had a look at Hood. So, I mean, second time round, it's going to be a very, very interesting battle, but Solomon's now the key. I think you'll see her come out if Queensland start putting runs on the board. Right. If they don't, if there's no runs in the next couple of innings by Queensland, I think you'll see Solomon put on ice for the next one.
Bottom of the second, so Queensland will get to bat last regardless. And if you mention the M word again, Anthony, you are banned from the commentary position. We don't want to say that.
What was the M word? Oh, right, gotcha.
All right, don't give it away that I've just spelled it out to you. On the backfield, it's Victoria versus New South Wales. And it is the bottom of the second over in that game as well. Victoria lead 1-0.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Caitlin Laird doing the pitching again. So she faced New South Wales yesterday in a do-or-die game for Victoria, which they won to secure 4th spot. This is the dangerous Mackenzie Peebles up to bat for Queensland. Keep our eye on that game for our viewers. Fouling it off, and there's 2 contests going on in this game. The first one's on diamond, the second one's coming from the dugout. Who can make the most noise? Banging the balls against
I think the off-season return of the mesh might be in order.
High for a ball, and Georgia Hood goes to the change-up. 2-2 count.
Important lead off for Queensland. Hood wants to make sure that they don't open the door for Queensland and give them an opportunity. There's a lot of power in their lineup to come. Good pitch on the hands.
And
well, it looked like he could swing too.
Sorry, how did your wife enjoy last night?
She loved it. She was genuinely surprised at. It's not as easy as it seems. I think she's thought for a long time that it's simple, but you've got to be mindful of what you're trying to do and have something relevant to say as she fouls that one off down the third base line, right out in front, Peebles. But
well, I've given her a nickname.
Oh yeah, it's taken him 12 hours.
Of course.
Here we go.
He slept on it.
Sherlock.
Yeah, because what's her maiden name? Surnames.
Oh, far out.
Holmes.
I thought it was no. Here we go with Georgia Hood versus Mackenzie Peebles.
Oh, great pitch. That's the second time Hood's done that.
Right on top of her game, isn't she, George?
Yeah, Adams has just called that perfectly at the right time too. That's a great battery at the moment in action.
Well, it's a good 1-2 punch, isn't it, when you're a catcher, to call a change-up after the batter fouls off a quick pitch.
Yeah, and she's right out in front, so you know, timing-wise, you know, and it's the little things like that that make a national championship great.
Well, James English wore that one really well. Well protected, I would suggest, for the plate umpire. No need for a replay of that. No man wants to see that again. Ground ball, shortstop. Taylor Chillingworth gets a kind second bounce, fires it across for 2.
Yeah, you'll see here on the Eastern replay, Taylor does a great job, gets low and just great hands in the pocket and makes sure she's got a good stance on her throw. She's got a rocket arm anyway.
No need to panic.
That's right, and that's what SA got to do, is just make sure that they take the opportunities when they come.
Nicole Conacher in the left-handed box on the move. Sees a called strike.
Another change.
On the change up, well called, Anthony. Just a little loop and a shortstop, and Chillingworth will take those all day long.
Yeah, that's a super impressive start. For a team that's played that many games in 4 days, in some trying weather conditions, SA have had a lot of the late games too, which sometimes is really hard to back up first thing in the morning. But you can see Coach Lucas has just brought them here together. He's having that chat to them right now, making sure that they understand that it's only the second.
Yep.
They're playing the national champs. They're going to come, so it's important that they stay on the job.
After 2 innings, 15 batters to the plate for South Australia, 7 for Queensland.
Double. But they'll come. Don't worry about that. Anybody watching this, don't go and make a Fritz and sauce roll or whatever your choice of food is for lunch.
That's Lee just putting a lunch order out for anybody around the grounds at the moment, if they'd be so kind to bring it down to the commentary box on first base.
No, it's not, because I've already brought mine. Thanks. Thanks for the invite.
Queensland staying with Summers. Now the message may just be, get us through another one.
Yep.
Just get us through another one every inning, because the more they can hide Solomon from this point, you would think, the better.
Yeah.
Because if they come up against each other again later in the day, you expect it to be Solomon.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. But the problem is, if you drop this game, that you've got to then win the next one. And, you know, that's going to be an interesting game, because New South Wales are a massive threat. They lost to Queensland in the final last year. Yeah, Summers just needs to... She's very much in quick pitch mode at the moment. She's just rushing her work. She's got to slow down and take some time. She's playing into the SA hands at the moment. She's giving them what they want. When you're 6-0 down in the third, you've got to make some changes, because...
Well, you've got to change your plan of attack, don't you? I know they're in defence at the moment, but you can still attack from that position.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'd be saying to Summers, hey, listen, if we don't put runs on the board by the 4th, you're going to take this thing all the way to the end, no matter what happens. The only time we'll see Solomon is if, you know, our offense actually kicks into gear.
Foul ball on that one. No argument from the batter, but it must have come right off the bottom of the bat.
Yeah.
Ground ball to shortstop. Great play from Hampson to get the speedy Jorgensen.
That's real quality. Had to stay low, had a double bounce. You see here on the Eastern replay, just like Chillingworth the innings before, makes a great throw.
As we've said it before, haven't we, during this tournament, that there's some great shortstops on display.
We are in no shortage of, yeah, absolutely. Even Bell last night for the ACT was lights out.
Yeah.
She took that ball deep behind, you know, basically behind third base on her backhand, and still threw the runner out. So
that was a huge play.
Adams gets underneath it, flies it out deep to right field. Great catch taken out there by Conacher. Good communication from Leggett at centre field, supporting her out, as Queensland starting to get some momentum now, purely based around the fact that for the first time in an innings, the bases aren't loaded. Benithan up at the plate by herself.
They'd love a 3 up, 3 down, wouldn't they? Right now.
So Summers has thrown a change-up to the first batter so far this innings. Did it to Jorgensen before. Just did the same thing to Benithan.
that's fine. That's good pitching, because you need to mix it up a bit. I mean, you've gone with your hard stuff early, and it's cost you plenty. Mix it up.
Goes up. Benithan, the South Australian game plan to stay off anything above the letters. But it's a quiet infield at the moment. You can see a focused infield for Queensland. Another change of pace. Great diving effort at third base by Stewart, but Benithan's hit it hard enough to get herself a single as the ball's gone out to left field as Hanari gets the ball in through the cutoff. Just here on the Eastern replay, what a great effort. She's dived over the line. The dangerous Maddie Scott comes to the plate. Yep, that edge plate has just not worked at all. South Australia 2 out. Player like Scott, you've got to be careful.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, the right-hander's throwing in, and obviously for Maddie, you give her an opportunity to clear her hands. You play into her arc there.
High for a ball on Maddie Scott. My apologies for the break. I was just checking.
I saw you were working.
Yeah, thanks for the cover. The pitches that Queensland have used so far in this tournament, Solomon Summers have done the heavy lifting, with Koval Maida and Harris chipping in.
Right.
So that's who they can go to, but we've only seen Solomon in the bullpen so far. They're continuing with Summers, runner on one here in the top of the third, 6-0 down, and a base on balls from Maddie Scott to have runners at 2 or 3 for the big hitter.
The big concern I've got is just with the amount of walks that Summers thrown in 3 innings. So you're pushing her pitch count, and you're already down.
Yeah, Lee and I both give you the numbers if you want to say them.
So that's 7.
6.
Oh,
1 hit by pitch and 6
then?
walks. No, count that one.
Yeah, so that's a lot. That's a lot of free bases, and all you're doing at the moment is you're just burning the fuel tank for later in the day. So this next innings for Queensland, they must score so they can figure out what they're going to do with their battery.
And the main thing about that, with those 6 base on balls, a lot of them have scored runs, been run scorers.
Georgia Hood went down looking last time. 2-out situation, runners at 1-2.
Such a tricky batter to pitch to, because if you throw it high and it's not high enough, it'll go to the fence all over, you know.
Rhodey comes across to give some advice for Summers. Hood at the back of the box. So on a 3-0 count, she's on the move. Sorbello just has to shift back a little bit while Hood's right at the back of the box. She's got a big, long swing.
Well, she's a power hitter. I mean, Hood last night put a ball on the CPC commercial partitions carpentry sign, and it hit that sign halfway up.
Nearly put a hole in it.
Yeah.
I'm sure Mark would have been happy with the extra screen time for commercial partitions and carpentry. Well, Hood said, "You're not going to get another one past me." She fouls this one off. I can see Olympian to my right fetching that foul ball. Belinda White.
See, I throw change up here now. 2 strikes. She's keen to get around and belt it.
Runners will be on the move. Full count with 2 strikes. Smashes it to third base Stewart. She keeps her composure, plays the lead runner, and ends the threat. So the first inning that South Australia don't score in is the third, but they threaten. Over on the Diamond 2 game, thanks to the Red Stars Cafe in bar 66. Victoria were leading 1-0 in the start of the second, and then New South Wales went walk, single, sacrifice, single, 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 4-1. They lead in the bottom of the second, and there's only 1 out.
And see, that's evidence there of all it can take. I mean, you spoke before of the opening day game between these two teams. The Queensland coaching staff just there pulled all the players up to the fence. You can see that he's having that conversation with them now. Obviously, they've seen Hood now. Sorbello's probably going to get her first look, I think, at Hood. But we were 6 down last time we played them only 3 days ago, and we came back and piled on 13. Victoria get a jump on New South Wales. Back-to-back hitting, that's the key. ACT last night, that's what let them down. They got somebody on, they just couldn't, couldn't put somebody else up behind them.
Yep.
So team batting here, bit of partnership work. Anari's been good this tournament so far. Needs to work hard to get on base.
Bottom of the third, Queensland still have not gone through their lineup. South Australia have 3 batters who have reached the plate 3 times.
If Queensland don't score this innings, I'm sending out the 2 pitchers that James talked about that have done some bit work.
Check swing, that goes foul.
And some would say that that sounds defeatist, but if anything, it's because plan A hasn't worked. I'm keeping my ace Solomon. I'm keeping my powder dry for the next one if that happens. But I'm just throwing something different at SA because they're expecting the 2 rockets at the start. Let's give them something that they're not expecting. Great pitch. Far out her change-up is just...
Yeah. It's a terrific weapon. I know I go on a fair bit about it in the local competition, but it beats the good hitters. That's what it does.
Well, the difference for Hood is that it just doesn't, the way she leans over when she's getting the ball through, with her change, you just can't tell.
Yeah.
Like so many other players, you can see this where they roll the hand out the front, and you can, there's some trigger points to it. But Hood, she just hits you, and you got no idea that it looks like it's a fastball.
It's not that slow, the actual pitch. You know,
Plenty of it goes foul down the left side. If you are just joining the broadcast, the score is correct. It is 6-0 in favour of South Australia over Queensland. The damage was done in the first of 2 hits, 4 walks, a hit by pitch, and an error from Queensland. South Australia piling on 5.
Oh, wow. Another great change-up.
Well, doing enough to stay alive as well here, Harari. So plenty of fight here from Queensland. A little bit of frustration, you can tell, within the players. But they haven't hit panic button yet, I wouldn't have thought. Continues the battle.
See, quick hands from the batter. That just tells you as a pitcher, she's not going to like the off-pace stuff.
Yeah.
Another Olympian to my right. Actually, there's an Olympian to my left as well. Joyce Lester, Sue Tomlinson. Big names are out here at the Under-23 Women's National Championship.
Great catching. After 5 days of softball, to drop to your knees and just take a 80k an hour change up into the chest plate takes some courage. Great job, Neve Adams.
Yeah, it's a good play, Neve.
Yeah, all the catches in this tournament have been impressive, and a lot of the times the catches go without the fanfare and the credit.
He's leading into something here, Anthony.
Generally always going to the pitcher, but
I'm just gonna hold him just so he doesn't slip off the soapbox.
Timeout called from Neve Adams. She'll have a chat to Georgia Hood.
Here's your chance. Keep going on the catches now.
The superstar Georgia Hood just having a chat and a laugh with Neve Adams. She comes back with a smile on her face.
But that being said, with Lester and Tomlinson close by, we should probably pay homage to the catches and let him go with it while
Belinda White was here before.
White there, yep.
Base on balls, what a battle.
That is a very important at-bat. A very important at-bat.
Just the second base runner for Queensland. The first one came from Hampson's infield single. All right, flip side for South Australia is that Michaela Jankovic is sitting in waiting. She's obviously carried the load for South Australia through the Monterey. Pop-up bunt.
Oh,
Callahan comes in and takes a reasonably comfortable catch because the play was advertised pretty early from Sorbello. Let's have a look. She's way out in front. She's waiting for it and just pops it up.
Yeah, dropped her hands, unfortunately, but...
Surprise play, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With a batter like her. She's
I was about to say,
of the ball.
yeah, if it's her first look too in the third, you can see that Queensland are now... That shows a little bit of evidence about the fact that we need to...
Keep going there, Anthony. You're doing a good job, mate.
So Hood to...
Kurihara's at the top of the order for Queensland. I'll jump in, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Producer Brandon just getting in our ear just for a little bit of advice.
Yeah, the fact that he's bunted Sorbello on the first pitch he's faced Hood is a little bit of the first sign that we need to get somebody...
Ground ball to Chillingworth, who flips it over to 2 for the lead runner. Kurihara too quick to avoid the double play, and Harari on the eastern replay goes sliding in. How sharp was that play from the South Australian middle infield?
Yeah, Chillingworth and Scott look like they've been doing that together for a long, long time. So Scott just giving Havas some advice there about jumping off and stretching out, trying to make that double work, but...
good signs from the South Australian middle infield. I thought that was out.
It is out.
It's out of the field of play as Becky Havas read it better than I did and takes a good catch in foul territory to end the third inning for Queensland. It is 6-0 in favour of South Australia, and this is about the point of the game where Queensland overran South Australia to win 13-6 just 3 days ago.
Doesn't look the same though, unfortunately. Doesn't have the same feel about it. You can see the Queensland coach frustrated. I mean, obviously he's tried to engineer a play and it hasn't come off, and now, you know, now it is crunch time. Runs haven't been scored, so there's no scoreboard pressure, but he's made the change. He's pulled the trigger. Solomon's come on.
Surprise?
Yeah,
or is that a sign to South Australia you're not out of it yet?
No. Well, depends on, again, how you're looking at it. If I'm the South Australian coach, I'm sort of thinking, yeah, maybe, but from the outside looking in, obviously, we're not in the dugouts. We don't know, but...
Well, if they had a plan for Summers, you'd think they've got a plan for Solomon, but time will tell. As this impressive athlete goes through her warm-up pitches, we'll get the official changes.
Well, she's got an extra yard on her in pace, so, you know, SAR going to have to make an adjustment to try and just pick that up. She's very front on. The arm whips through, so it's a different action to Summers. So it is something different to look at, but I don't know, 6-0. I mean, what he is saying to his bench is, hey, listen, I've got enough faith in you as the national champion defending here. I've got enough faith that you batters are going to come back into it. I'm going to send out my other #1 pitcher and say, right, shut it down, Solomon, and we'll put the runs on the board and get this thing done. So hopefully maybe that's the sign that he's trying to get. He's trying to back the players in. Chillingworth gets first look.
In 3 innings of work for Summers, she threw 89 pitches, 1 strikeout, 6 walks, 1 hit by pitch, 6 earned runs.
Yeah, the change had to be made. It's just an interesting one who it was going to be.
There's Solomon just getting her footing right, as that one came in pretty hard and it dipped as well.
The fact that he has used her shows that Queensland still think this game is winnable.
Low again.
Just seems to be rushing her work, doesn't it? Doesn't she?
A little bit, yeah. It's just funny, just Queensland just trying to get that radar. Then it's part of the zones that they're just not getting called, but they're not changing
anything.
They're not evolving
No,
to
right.
what is being called. I mean, that inside corner has not been called all day.
Yep.
Lee, 3 walks for Taylor Chillingworth.
Yeah.
Last night, single, double, triple, single.
Dangerous batters.
Fair night out at the office.
Yeah, a lot of dangerous batters finish up with stats like that, though, don't they?
Yeah.
Like Georgia Hood, you know, James mentioned earlier about how many times Hood gets a base on balls.
Becky Havas is sitting real deep in the box. If I'm her, I'd be up the front because she likes that ball low. Oh, good bunt.
Sacrifice
What a
bunt.
great
Stewart
bunt.
comes in.
Well
Low
picked
throw
up.
and a great pick up from Kurihara. The job done from Havas, advancing Chillingworth to second. And South Australia, Anthony, as you mentioned 2 innings ago, trying to manufacture a run here. We won't say why. And there is the Eastern replay and a great pick up from Kurihara. Here is the 4 RBI hitter in this game so far, Charlize Callaghan, and she's a noted big game RBI hitter, isn't she, for Port Adelaide in their one and only club premiership.
Likes to go up the middle. She's, unlike Havas, she's right at the front of the box. So she's taking the dip out of the low pitch, wanting to hit the ball on the knees.
This is a bunch of identical pitches, isn't it? They're down. You're going to ground out. Well, that was
there
up
she
a
goes
little
again,
bit.
out to the right side. Chillingworth is tagging up and will take on the arm of Kanaka at the right field. So do you still call it a sacrifice fly? She's advanced the runner on a fly ball to right field.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Lucas, I mean, obviously you want that on the green in a perfect world, but he's advanced the runner, so now there's any threat of anything loose at the plate becomes an option, so no mistakes. Solomon traditionally throws the ball down a lot, so with a runner at third, all of a sudden Sorbello's got to be mindful of the fact that if she's going to throw down a lot, no mistakes.
Ballard has grounded to the left side, both plate appearances.
Wow.
Goes opposite this time round as Rhodey dives out for that one, trying to snag a web gem, but Ballard did reach in the first inning on an error, which continued the South Australian inning.
And this is important because Chillingworth scores, SA start counting outs instead of innings.
There's Rhodey.
Good change up.
Ballard goes right field. The wind has picked up a little bit. It's well read, and a good take from Conacher at right field to end the top of the 4th inning. On back-to-back fly balls to right field.
So they're 2 totally different pitches, aren't they? They just contrast each other differently. You know, Summers is the air attack, whilst Solomon's down in the trenches. She just forces you to get underneath the ball to try and generate any lift, which means that you're just going to be basically hitting through or on top of the ball and grounding out and bringing your quality infield into play. So now the fact that he's pulled the trigger on Solomon, Queensland coaching staff having a chat to the players over there. I bought the closer in. This is our plan A. This is what we've got.
We need to back it with the bat.
If she's on the mound, that means you guys, I'm backing you in now.
Yeah.
But it's the 4th, second time round for all of their hitters, so they've all had a look now at Hood.
Right, so speaking of plan B, the coaching staff would have thought of all different scenarios today. Should we lose game 1, who we're going to face? New South Wales or Victoria? Well, I can tell you it's anyone's game over on the backfield in the bottom of the 3rd, and it's 5-3.
Wow.
In what looks like an epic clash going on that backfield. Here's Brooke Stewart to lead things off in the bottom of the 4th. Half a swing, it's in foul territory for Havas. She checks for the fence and it goes foul. Queensland do have a little bit of luxury in that Solomon isn't their only gun that was started on the bench today. They've got the likes of Ritter and Evans and Letizia that can come in maybe for a role. If it's not a pinch hit, it could be a substitution as well.
I'm assuming Evans is injured or not. Something's not right because she's been amazing so far. I expected to see her on the paper.
That's a better swing from Stewart and a great catch by Ballard. We've got to wait on the call from the umpire. It looks like...
Whoa, here we go.
It looked like it was low to the ground. She went down with the ball. Let's have a look at the Eastern replay. It was the plate umpire that made the call. A little bobble, but she had the glove turned upwards. Looks out.
I think the Queensland coach is just asking the simple question, which is, why didn't the umpire closest to the play make the call? And I don't have an answer for that.
Well, it looks out to me like the glove's turned up and the bobble.
It's a line drive shot. It's gone out there like a rocket. And here's the Eastern replay.
On the extreme super slow-mo here.
Oh, catch every day of the week. What are we talking about? It's just as she's put her hand over it to take it out. But as you're right, the pocket's facing up.
So Stewart, it's in the book now. It is a fly ball to right field.
Tell you what, that's a big play in the game because that's a lead-off single for Queensland in the top of their lineup.
So a great catch, you mean?
And instead, it's a great catch and nobody on. Rhodey goes out deep to left field, so shallow to left field as Benithan comes in judging that ball real well.
Yeah, it was a high ball, wasn't it? Plenty of airtime, and Benithan got into a good position to take a good catch. Rhodey went for that low pitch, so it took a little bit off her swing.
She'll be happy with that too, Hayley, because in speaking with her in the off-season in preparation for the tournament, she was talking about she was taking extra reps in the outfield, knowing as a catcher and as a first base in the college system in the US that you know, she hadn't done a lot of outfield work, and knowing that that would be a role maybe that she'd be playing in the Stars and the Gillies Shield, it's good to see that that's paying off. Got some late breaking news there for us, Lee?
Yes, I have. I'll do it after this pitch.
Well, we know Solomon pitched that last inning, at the top of this inning for Queensland, as Hood goes high, and the pitch count for Summers was 89 pitches. Hood is at 49 pitches, and we're at the top or the bottom of the fourth inning.
Yeah, the tough call there is, and you've got Yankovic in the pen fresh to go. She had a lighter day yesterday than she did the day before, where she threw 14 innings, including the full game against New South Wales.
SA bat girl for this game is Kiva Gunston. She's from Walkerville. Her favourite players are Chelsea Robinson and Erin Stone, both Walkerville A-grade players.
Chelsea Robinson, a star, one of the stars as well, just been playing overseas.
Yeah, she missed out all the celebrations and fanfare because she left the day after the National Championship win to go play in the Netherlands.
Yeah, well, I mean, you win your first National Championship in 66 years and you decide to go party in Netherlands. I mean, it's different. Everybody does it their own way.
Leggett is the hitter. Grounded out to short, her first plate appearance. This is her second. But there's two out.
Going back to Yankovic, if I'm Coach Lucas, I'm 6-0 up and I've got a National Championship final on the line. I'm not changing nothing. Because you know what? Right now, it's all working.
Just keep going along. Do much the same if you can.
Haven't seen a Queensland runner hit second yet, so let's just leave it as is. Everybody's doing their job. The bats are keeping them under pressure over there. So
Peebles is just the third base runner for Queensland. Strikeout on the changeup, froze Leggett to deny Queensland yet again. So Georgia Hood looks like she's on song today. The South Australian team are up and about. Let's have a look at the Eastern replay of this changeup. Bang, right down the middle.
Dare I say, repeat of earlier messages about the change-up.
You can see the Queensland coaching staff having a chat with the Blue there. It's been a tough morning for them so far.
Only the third strikeout for Hood in 4 innings of work.
And 2 of them on change-ups, like she's those 2 other ones. So, no, she's having a good day. SA just need to hold the course at the moment.
Abby Jorgensen is the first batter for the top of the 5th inning for South Australia.
Well, it's, you know, this is a big innings now, so SA, I think you'll see continually trying to just engineer one at the moment. If they can string back-to-back hits together, happy days, but considering that 8, 9 in the lineup, Jorgensen and Adams both being good. As Solomon starts off against Jorgensen, top of the 5th.
More of the same type pitching, which is no surprise, is that when you've got 2 really good pitchers, they need to be different, don't they?
That's right.
They can't be the same clone of the other one. Because what's the point?
But, I mean, it's evident so far. I mean, Solomon's strike ball count is the reverse of what Summers's was. She's throwing more strikes. She's backing her pace, and she's challenging the hitters more. But her off-pace stuff, just like that, is sitting up a little bit more. So that's the careful part. She's got to look out. Late pickup by Rowe, but what a great catch. She sort of lost it early. It didn't go that high. Kurihari's basically talked her through it. You can just see here on the Eastern replay, her feet went the other way first, but she was good enough to turn around. Big smile on the face, happy with that.
As you would be, it's super effort.
Well, what it does too is by retiring the SA leadoff, now you're asking Adams to get her on, bring South Australia's big guns at the top of their order, Benaithen, Scott and Hood. Drops her hands on that one and it falls foul. Just see Neve just started up here, hands just dropped as the pitch broke. SA now having to work a lot harder for these at-bats. And Adams, another one of these players, they saw the hand.
Yep.
She's sitting deep in the box, which against Solomon, I'd be suggesting go the other way. You've got to get up the front. That late break that she gets at the front of the plate.
If you make contact, it's only going to ground out because it's so low.
But if you're sitting deep like that, you're playing into it a bit. Sorbello leaves it there a little bit longer, asking the question. Good frame.
It's not the sort of pitch I'd pitch to Neve, because Neve pulls the ball down the left field line, and with something like that, she's going to get a hold of it. I'd go back with a low stuff like that. And
lined out to right field.
Hello.
What a great catch by Nicole Conacher out at right field. Having some great plays out there in the field. Queensland's defence still up and about, and you can definitely feel, just looking at their infield, high fives, there's some smiles, there's a bit of energy now.
Bit of buzz around.
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
This is what happened the first game that they played.
Well, that's 2 of the best catches we've seen. Anthony.
Top of the lineup.
Tricky.
Ball spinning backwards.
Real tricky.
Oh, wow. Ball's come off the end of Benaithen's bat, and it's gone spinning, and Rhodes had to become a cricket wicketkeeper there for a brief second as she's had to recover that. She's made a great effort to do so. She's gone with the backhand to Kurihari, but Benaithen fast enough to get there at 2 out, bringing Maddie Scott to the plate.
And how often does that happen in the game where there's a miss hit? That's always tricky, and we saw the result.
And the ball was just spinning around in the dirt. It was,
so there's obviously plenty on it.
Benaithen comes off the base hard. Scott fouls it off down the right field side. Up the handle, doesn't get a lot of it. But you wouldn't believe it. It's 6-0, but the game feels like it's on a knife edge here.
Yeah,
It's
the tempo's lifted.
yeah, it can go one way or the other. Queensland building some momentum here. Fight back imminent, but it'll need to be, because if SA can engineer one more with Bonython at first, then all of a sudden Queensland will only have 3 outs to play with. So
That was interesting, that play by Maddie, because it looked like a full-blooded swing, and then at the last minute she just took her weight off her hands.
good discipline by the SA batters all day on anything above the letters on the uniforms. Solomon ahead in the count here, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And as has been all day, the outside just hasn't been called. And so Scott levels the count up at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bonython at first, 2 out. Top of the 5th, South Australia 6, Queensland 0.
And James, just to put you in the picture here, because you didn't see these, but 2 of the best catches we've seen so far in the tournament, weren't they, Anthony?
That's right. Rode picks up a late fly over at first against the fence, and then Conacher gets a line drive out. Scott puts that ball on the ground. Shortstop comes running in, makes a great throw, but not before the fast Matty Scott's made it all the way over to first. And South Australia runners at 1 and 2 as the power hitter from Pensacola State, Mount Gambier, Georgia Hood, comes to the plate.
Well, just quickly, how did Hayley Bonython get on? Infield single, was it?
Yes, yeah, she was too quick.
And again, on display, the speed of the top of the order for South Australia as Matty Scott beats that one out. Georgia Hood comes to the plate, the bottom of the zone.
James, just to fill you in, Hayley's got on the end of the bat, and it just spun around in front of Rhodey, and she couldn't handle it, and just a miss hit it was, but it's a safe hit.
Long ball from Georgia Hood. It's in her wellhouse. It goes deep to the fence. 1 bounce. It scores 1. Matty Scott turns 3 to score 2. Georgia Hood clapping before the ball even stops. The ball's in the back of the net. She's cheering to the dugout. She moves to third base. A 2-run shot and advances to third on the throw. South Australia out to an 8-0 lead.
And that's the beauty of the intentional walk. If you walk her, that wouldn't have happened.
You walk her, you bring Taylor Chillingworth to the plate.
I understand that, but
it doesn't get any easier. I know exactly what you're saying, Lee, and you're right, but that's the first time I've seen Coach Lucas smile in 4 days.
Yeah, to back up my argument there, Anthony.
Right, well,
Chillingworth's had 3 base on balls at the tournament.
Yeah, went 4 for 4 last night.
Yeah, but this is the day. Go on.
What I was saying, though, before about the 2 out, Bonython at first, she becomes the 7-0 runner, and now Queensland have gone from fighting in the 5th to try and keep building some momentum to get some runs back. Now they're down to 3 outs and needing 2 to make the game go an extra inning. So
all right, Taylor Chillingworth has had 3 walks for her 3 appearances today. A swing and a miss on that one. Guys, you said 2 of the best catches that we've seen in the tournament at the top of the inning. 3 consecutive hits for South Australia. Speed on display, power hitting on display.
She's got it all.
It's been a complete performance from the red team so far. But Queensland, again, why do I keep thinking that there's fight still left in the maroon team?
Before Bonython got on, we both mentioned after those 2 catches, the infield celebrated those catches. They were up and about. There was a feeling of a different vibe there. But South Australia, as they've done all week, back-to-back hitting, that's the thing that takes you where they're going.
Change-up is a pop-up to second base, and Kurihara camps underneath it for the catch. It was Zoe Thompson into the game as the courtesy runner for South Australia, and 2 runs on the board to make it 8 for South Australia. And as Anthony Weatherstone just said, Queensland need 2 for this game to continue. They've had just 3 base runners in this game.
Any news on?
The backfielder is 6-3 in the top of the 4th. New South Wales leading that game. We are in the bottom of the 5th here on the main field.
The replay games inside in the Red Star Cafe at the moment is the semi-finals and grand finals of last year, which was Queensland, New South Wales. So could be a bit of a mirror image going on there. But at the moment, South Australia 3 outs away from
being in their first under-23 grand final.
Terrific, isn't it? If it happens, and it's looking like, certainly looks like it's going to happen. But we've mentioned it before about Queensland. Sell them short and you'll pay the price.
I was just going to say before, I mean, everybody knows Amber Hood's my favourite player in the C-Max Premier League, but watching Georgia live, I haven't had the honour of it.
Well, just like Andrew
Andrew
Hood, I can't pick a favourite either. I caught up with Amber yesterday. We had a good chat. When I saw Georgia, it was like a family reunion. Yeah. It's the two of them. I've got so much time for both of them.
She is just an absolute joy to watch because you're only watching from the sidelines, but you feel like you're in it because she's won so many pitches. They give you nothing. Like if they get a good call or a bad call or nothing, they just give you nothing. But you're riding the emotional roller coaster with Hood. Every pitch, if it's good or bad, she gives you instant feedback.
Conacher is the hitter for Queensland. I know Tanya wouldn't admit it, but I'd say she's got a favourite because when I look out and watch the number 8 go for South Australia, I see Tanya Hood.
Yeah.
She was a South Australian representative herself for the Stars, multiple time representative for Mount Gambier and winner of the Kath Sims Memorial Trophy, winner at state championships a number of times as well. Just a gun softballer herself.
And in 1989 and 1990, she was our pitcher in the under-16 state when we were runners-up to New South Wales.
Another great change-up. West Torrens, after we won a couple of flags in the Premier League here, we went down and we played a 3-game series against the Mount Gambier All-Stars, led by the Hood and the Eastern Raiders out of Melbourne. So great connections from Mount Gambier. Great shot.
Yeah, really good shot. It just beats both Callaghan and Chillingworth in the 5-6 hole, and Queensland with just their 4th base runner of the game, and it's Nicole Conacher.
Perfectly executed, wasn't it? With control, just poked it where she wanted, a little bit off the pace of the pitch then.
Both hits for Queensland in this game have been left-hand slaps in that gap.
Mm-hmm.
She'll take off. Big lead off, and I'm sure Neve Adams' eyes just lit up then. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pitch out this pitch. I'd call a pitch out. I'd have a stab at this one. But it's not. It is hittable. And a good catch taken by Maddie Scott in shallow centre as Hinari pops up. She had a huge battle, her first plate appearance, and got a well-deserved walk. And here's the Eastern replay of the second base play backing back. She does that so well, doesn't she? She shields the sun with her eyes with a high glove.
Abby came rushing in, but she was overcalled, as is Maddie's prerogative. Secret about playing in the outfield, you keep running in until you hear a call, and vice versa.
Maddie Scott is, more and more I watch her play in the infield, more and more reminds me of a baseball Olympian by the name of Andrew Scott.
She's better. Oh, there's the pick-off attempt.
Yeah.
Just came 2 pitches later.
Yeah, well, sorry, that doesn't count.
It's the first pick-off attempt of the game.
And the first prediction.
I knew it was coming. I saw it. I can read the play, Lily. There's the Eastern replay. Queensland down to their last 2 outs to score 2 to keep this game going. They do have Sorbello at the plate and then the top of the order.
That's because we're a top-class catcher. So you understand the situation, but still too late.
Did you say that Maddie Scott was better than Andrew Scott?
Yep.
Is that what you just said? Okay.
Gee. Well, I've heard some irrational calls on this system, but that's the best.
She's a way better softballer than Andrew Scott ever was.
Oh, yes,
All
yeah,
right, fair play,
really
fair play.
now-
I was going to say, because he is an absolute...
Olympic silver medal baseball player.
He is a genuine baseball South Australian
I
legend.
saw him playing for Claxton Shield. He was a fantastic
Oh, he's
player.
an absolute gun.
Ground ball to Scott. 2 outs, and it is Maddie Scott who has made both plays in this inning. The best softballer in her family.
I tell you what, he's
3.
bigger than, her father is bigger than you. I'd be very careful. I know you're a catcher and you think you're tough, but...
Ferrari Kurihara, a ground out to the pitcher and a fielder's choice for the shortstop. There is a runner on 2. For the first time in this ball game, Queensland have a runner on 2. Timeout called from Eve Adams. Just have a chat to Georgia. I'm sure it's... Can we make sure we get this out, get out of the heat?
Yeah. I've got an ice bath with my name written all over it, please. No,
South Australia in the history of the sport have won 5 national championships. Never in the 23s, never made a final in the 23s. Never in the under-17 age group, never in the men's. There's been 3 under-19s and 2 Gillies Shields. 3 of them have been won here in Adelaide. No comment here from my gentleman to the left. Home field advantage. Maybe I'm going there. Or
I'm just thinking, please, Softball Australia, keep us in the rotation of national championships. Our volunteers have done an amazing effort to turn on as good a tournament as we can.
Led by Matt Williams, who's been an absolute hero this tournament. He doesn't really watch the live streams, but I can see him from here. He's poised and ready to go back to work. Rue Weaver, who our Volunteer of the Year award is named after. U2. A strikeout looking.
Unusual.
You couldn't tell if I was nervous because I was just rambling on about nothing. The South Australian girls express ticket to the Joyce Lester Shield Grand Final. Queensland will regroup because they've got a game to play soon. We'll bring you all that action for the preliminary final. It'll be between either New South Wales or Victoria. It is middle of the game over on the backfield between those 2 states. Let's have a look at the Eastern replay of the change-up. Just buckles the knees of Kurihara, and Neve Adams was happy. She's up like a jackrabbit. Watch here after the strikeout. She knew it was there. Pumped. And South Australia, victorious, will go through to the grand final at 3 or 3:30, depending on the game times. Shaking hands. Guys, I'm a bit speechless.
Okay, then I'll take over here for a moment. Do I have to repeat the story about the change-ups?
Yeah, no, not at all. I reckon just a great effort by South Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, the Georgia Hood, Neve Adams thing has just clicked beautifully. Player of the game for me, Maddie Scott. A couple of great at-bats. You know, important at-bats, but really rock solid in the field. Benithan was good as well. Hood, outstanding in the middle.
2 hits, 3 strikeouts, 2 base on balls.
Adams calls a masterclass behind the plate against the national defending champions. So, team effort, contributors all over the place.
Well, you missed Charlize Callahan's 3-run double.
I did. I apologise for that.
Then she had a RBI in the second and advanced a runner in the 4th inning, so she was a great contributor as well. Maddie Scott, for mine, though, with you, second base player, had a bunch of plays, 2 infield singles, 2 walks, scored 3 runs. Lee, who's your player of the game?
Well, either Maddie or Georgia Hood. Let's face it, Georgia Hood, no runs scored against her.
Yeah, Georgia Hood also had a 2 RBI double there in the 5th to put the Mercy runs on the board. As well as a walk. So getting the wind up from producer Brandon. He wants an early minute. We will see you in about an hour, depending on how the next game goes,
Yep.
maybe a little bit after. And it'll be between the winner of New South Wales and Victoria. Currently, New South Wales are leading 6-3 in the bottom of the fourth. South Australia go straight through the grand final. Queensland with a second life. We'll see you in about an hour or so.